Hey, Kevin Coy here from Kevin's Micro Homestead and selfreliantlife.com, and I wanted to show you our tiny life, our new project right here. This is our new home that we're building, and we sold our other home, moved about 575 miles across the state of Washington here, and we're minimizing or simplifying our lives right now. We sold, I don't know, 60-70% of our things off and decided to downsize our living accommodations, if you will, so that we could have more time and more money and freedom and no mortgage. And so I thought I'd give you a little tour of what we're up to here and what it looks like to live in a house the size of a two-car garage. So right now we're under construction. As you can see, the shell of the building has been erected for the most part. We've got our gable ends here that still need to be sheeted in, and we're waiting for the roofer to come out and put the shingles on the roof so that we have a dried, what they call a dried in building or shell here. The weather can't get in anymore. And our house is 24 by 24, which is the size of a two-car garage. And just, you know, give you some kind of idea of costing. We're building this for less than a lot of the tiny houses you see for sale online these days, and we're going to have probably about 3 times the space of a normal tiny house. So it's a smaller home. It's not a micro house on wheels per se, but I thought that some people, that this may appeal to some people in the tiny house community that are looking for something a little bit bigger than 180, 200 square feet on wheels. So I'll give you a look around here. We've got a nice covered porch. We live in the Pacific Northwest, and so the name of the game here is rain. And so we wanted to have an indoor-outdoor living scenario, so we created a very large covered patio for outside. The patio is basically half the size of the interior part of the house. So a third of our whole roof line is right here, and we set the trusses so that they would cover across the entire process out here, and then set on top of these big beams to support them out at this end. And you'll also notice we have overhangs, pretty good size overhangs all the way around the house. This one is about 2 feet, and this one's about 1.5 feet all the way around, and that helps shed the rain and keep the weather off the walls and give us a little bit more cover. So right now we're below the grade in our yard. We're going to be backfilling and putting in some good topsoil here. We live right by the Pacific Ocean. You can hear the roar of the ocean in the background right now. It's just over the way here. And so this peninsula that we live on is basically a giant sand spit that's been building for hundreds of years, if not longer. And so we have a lot of beach sand. This is actually beach sand, the grayer color here, that we use to backfill inside the form of the building before we put the concrete slabs on. And then this darker color is the actual, what we call brown sand here in the yard. And that's all there is. It's sand. It's dirty sand, sandy dirt, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to be bringing more topsoil back in to fill the yard back in, up, you know, closer to about 2 or 3 inches from the top of this patio. So this will all be underground when we get done. And so anyway, we'll come in here and I'll kind of give you a look-see. You can...
So Kevin, where's the front door at?
Well, the front door is going to be over here. We haven't cut it out yet, but you can kind of see where the sheeting right here is a little loose because there's a hole right here. There's no framing, and we just haven't cut up over all the doors and windows yet because we're just kind of keeping the weather out until we get the roof finished.
What door are you taking us into?
Well, this is there's 2 doors on the house here, and they're both on this side of the building, and this is going into our bath utility area. So I'll walk in here, and you can kind of see We have a very simple floor plan, and again, this is part of why our cost of building is fairly low. We didn't get into a very complicated structure here, and we just are keeping everything pretty basic and straightforward. So one of the things that we decided to do was build the shower, which is what I'm standing in here, is 3 feet by 5 feet, and we poured it as part of the slab. So we just formed it down. The slab's 4 inches thick, and then we stepped this down a couple inches and poured another portion of the slab down in here, which is also 4 inches thick.
And we did that because it saved us money now. We don't have
Right.
to tile the floor or do a pan.
Exactly. And so we're gonna just put some tile on the walls here, so we'll have to put some cement board in here, and then we'll put our tile on, and then our drain will come up right out of here, and our shower valve and faucet and everything is going to be right here. You can kind of see some of the plumbing coming up for the vent. So this is our shower area. Right here, I don't know how well that'll pick up, but there's a kind of a circle in the cement right here. This is a flange for the toilet, so the toilet's going to sit right here. So we're coming in the door, toilet, shower. A vanity will be right here for our sink. And then in this area right over here, we're going to set a stacking washer and dryer. And then the hot water tank will sit right here. And then we'll have cabinetry around inside here to give us room for linens and storage and so forth. So we're putting a lot into this space. It's 10 by 10. And we're going to get everything. This is one of the 2 rooms of the house. So bath utility right here, walk into here. The rest of the house is one other room, and so it's kind of a studio. And this, we were inspired with this floor plan by having spent some time down in the Caribbean in some timeshare condos, and they're very simple, straightforward studio type apartments that we really liked the layout. It was just simple living. It was very easy. Everything just sort of flows. And of course it's indoor outdoor living down there because of the climate. It's a little warmer than it is here, but we have a very indoor outdoor climate here as well because we kind of have more of a spring fall without really any kind of a winter other than the rain. So what I'm standing in now is the bedroom area. So we've got our bathroom right off the bedroom here. And right now we're opting not to put in a bedroom wall to separate the rest of the house. Part of the reason is that makes it feel bigger when we're in a pretty small space here. And so the other is we just felt like we wanted to experiment a little bit with an open design and just not worry about, boxing up a bunch of rooms in here and cutting things off. If we decide it doesn't work out for us, we can always put another wall in or put in a screen or something to separate that space if we want to do that later. So we're going to have a nice big window right here, 4 by 4, and it's going to be a slider, or a double or single hung window. It's going to move up and down this way, and what that's going to allow is ventilation and light. And on the occasion that we would need some air conditioning, we'll be able to put a wall or a window unit right in here and set it up so that it can hang in the window. Probably won't need a lot of that, but our air conditioning is basically open the window. So if we get a window open on this side of the house, window open on the other side of the house, we get good ventilation, we get good light, and that really works out well for us. And so we left a lot of solid wall over here because we're going to be putting in some cabinets and some wardrobes, right? And that'll give us some storage space. And then we're going to have a platform bed with storage underneath. Again, because we don't have a lot of room here, we want to maximize our storage for clothing and things that we would keep in the bedroom. So then stepping this way, we're going to get into the living room area. And again, you know, we're going to probably put a TV up here on the wall, kind of an office desk area over here on this side. So, you know, just flows right over into this space. And this space is probably 12 by 12, if you will, before it gets over toward the kitchen area, which is, we'll show you here in a minute. And we got a really great view this way. And so we put in some big windows here. They're 4 by 6, and they'll be sliders, so they're going to move this way. And that's going to give us a really nice view out into our property. We've got a lot of trees, and we got a lot of wildlife here. It's not unusual to see deer and even bear out in the yard. A lot of birds, and just a real pretty backdrop this direction. And so we wanted to really showcase that and kind of make that our entertainment, if you will, to be able to see this way. And then there'll be a wood stove right between the two windows, about 4 feet here. We're going to put a nice wood stove in right here, and we can collect wood right off the beach out here that gets washed ashore and cut it up and use it for firewood. So it's really economical to heat, and being a small space, it doesn't take much, so it won't take a very big wood stove. And then if we do have, which we have a lot of storms in the wintertime, and the weather comes from this southwest exposure here at an angle, and so it's not unusual to get the power knocked out if we get a really good storm, and that wood stove is going to be, you know, our off-grid heat source. And we'll also be putting in a gas wall heater over here so that we'll have supplemental heat back and forth. The wood stove when we want it, the gas on thermostat when we don't want to, you know, mess with a wood stove. So, and then we roll around this way, and this is our dining kitchen area, and of course our door, our main door coming in is going to be right here. We have a window right here which is set at a height of the counter, and this is going to be another single hung window, so it's going to move up and down this way and be able to serve out onto the patio from the kitchen, because we want to do a lot of indoor-outdoor living, and so we want to be able to, you know, prepare food and then just put it right out here onto a counter and have, you know, friends over and eat out and so forth. So our kitchen area is basically this L shape against this wall. The refrigerator is going to be sitting right here, and then there'll be a small cabinet counter, and then the stove, and then more counter going through the corner here, and then the kitchen sink. You can see the pipe coming up right here for that is going to be offset from the window, so we can serve through the window without having to deal with the faucet. And just real easy living here. A lot of cabinets overhead so that we've got the storage again. The plumber came the other day and put in our vent pipe that he'll eventually tie into all the fixtures in the house so that we get proper venting. So our roughed in plumbing is in right here, and our water line is coming up right here through the slab. Our slab is actually going to be our finished floor, so we're going to do an acid stain color on this concrete floor and then seal it, and this will be our finished floor. So we're saving a lot of money that way. It's a very durable floor. It's never going to wear out, and we're not buying any carpet or tile or vinyl or any other, you know, Pergo or any kind of thing like that. This is it. So we spent a little more putting in the concrete, but it's going to be here forever, and you know, that's our finished floor. So we're saving a lot on flooring materials, and it will wear like concrete. Go figure. And same thing with our patio. It's going to be stained and the same process, and give us our finished floor outside as well. So any other thoughts?
Well, I think it's kind of important to note that, you know, it's been an interesting journey, and you know, a lot of people have thought that we've lost our minds and are crazy for the small space that we're going to, and how we're not going to have a bedroom interior wall, things like that. And I think it's really important to note the fact that we're building this place for less than half of what we got bids to have someone else build it for us, even though we're not doing all the work, because we didn't do the cement work, and we helped, but we're also not doing the roof, like plumbing. We have a guy coming in. So like, how would you, you know, share a little bit of that, just a couple minutes of that with everybody. I think
Sure.
about how we've saved literally tens of thousands of dollars on this build.
Yeah, and so we acted as our own general contractors on this project, and so what we did was, you know, a lot of the cost of building is there's profit in it, and the general contractor that's going to build your home is going to sub out a lot of the work to other contractors that specialize in things like concrete, framing, roofing, plumbing, electrical, sheetrock, insulation. Most general contractors don't do all that themselves, but what they do is they get bids from people, and as they are acting as the coordinator, if you will, of the project, they mark everything up to make a profit so that they get paid for overseeing the project, and then they do their part of it. A lot of times they do the framing and put up the trusses and so forth, but they don't do all the pieces. So we became the general contractors in this project, which eliminated all that profit out of the cost of this project. And so, you know, you can do that yourself, and we're hiring in the subcontractors to do some of the work that we don't want to do or can't do, and then we're doing the parts that we want to do. And so one of the things I did was I hired a guy that knows framing and concrete, and he worked with me to build the foundation, and then we framed up all the walls and stood them up and rolled all the trusses and sheeted this in, and I paid him by the hour to help me. And so we saved a lot of money because I put my labor into this and cut the cost of that overhead for running a project out of the equation. I also went around and got my own materials, which again, when other contractors build for you, they're going to mark up materials, and so that adds to your cost. And so so I guess back around some of the reactions that we've got from people were pretty amusing, and one of the normal things that people say when we show them how big the place is and that we're just you know, having this open bedroom floor plan is, well, you're not going to live here full time, so that's okay. So they're in their mind they're justifying, well, it makes sense to have sort of a one-room cabin, if you will, or a cottage, because this is just your vacation home. And we say, no, we're going to live here full time. And then they go, oh, I see, okay, and then they just sort of change the subject. So that's a pretty common reaction to that question. And so we've had a lot of fun with it. You can follow us as we go along. We're going to be doing some updates on our YouTube site and on our blog, selfreliantlife.com. And this might be something you're interested in doing. If this appeals to you, you know, and you can add on to a home like this. We're not going to have a mortgage. We're doing this without bank financing. We're paying cash to do this, and we're saving a ton of money doing it ourselves. And just thought I'd share you an option in the simplifying small home building community here, and let you see what some other people are doing out there. So thanks for taking a look at our video, and we'll see you out there on the internet.